Going into the All-Star break, the Nashville Predators had a 3-game winning streak, and the offense seemed to be back on track. Unfortunately, after the break, Nashville looked nothing like the team they were when they went on break, getting embarrassed by the Vegas Golden Knights 5-1 after securing an early 1-0 lead in the first period on a beautiful pass from Roman Josi to Matt Duchene. Now, unfortunately, after that, the Vegas Golden Knights would score five unanswered goals, and Roman Josi was directly responsible, for 2 of those, which is really uncharacteristic of how he plays and pretty much how this team plays. But let's take a look and see, because we see a lot of criticism both on the broadcast and on Twitter that this team is not prepared well and does not perform well after a long break between games. And that's going to be the topic of tonight's One Big Stat. Now, I wanted to take a look at a few things. First, I wanted to see how many days were between each game, and I wanted to see if that made a difference on the team's overall record and the performance, but I did want to look at their performance in the first period. Now, if we look at this graphic here, in the first period, Nashville is pretty much worse from 0 to 1 days of a break. So the normal schedule of either a back-to-back or 1 day between games. Nashville usually has a goals for percentage in the first period of 56%. But when there's been a 2-day or longer break, they only have a 41% chance. So they are scoring goals they're scoring goals a lot less than their opponent in the first period with the break. And you see that for pretty much every category you see here. Expected goals, shots, and shots against. Nashville performs worse offensively, or if they do break even in offense like they do in goals per game, they get much worse on defense, which they go from allowing 0.7 goals per game in the first period with one or 2 days of break. Bigger than that, though, they average 1.3 goals against. So that's almost a half a goal difference. So you can see that with the when it comes to the first period, Nashville definitely gets slower and does not do as well. But how does that affect the outcome of the game? Well, if you look at the outcome of the game, on those 0 to 1 day breaks, so basically the normal breaks between games, they are 16, 13, and 5, which is a 54% points percentage. On those games that they've had 2 or more days of a break between games, they are 8, 6, and 1, which is actually a 57% points percentage, 3% higher than the normal break games. So what can you conclude from this? Yeah, Nashville starts off incredibly slow. They perform worse in the first period. And unfortunately, a lot of times, like you see tonight, they're unable to dig themselves back out of the hole. Tonight, they went in with a 3-1 deficit going into the first period and completely were unable to manifest anything in the second and third. And therefore, they took the 5-1 embarrassing loss. And we're getting right up to the trade deadline. We're getting right up to that point where teams start to make decisions. And if this is what the team wanted to put on display heading into the trade deadline, well, if you ask me, they looked a lot like sellers. And this coaching staff is going to have to get something figured out with this team, because they cannot continue to have slow starts in these games, no matter how long the break is, because they have to have some offense to show for it afterwards. And Nashville does not always get that. And that's tonight's One Big Stat. Charlie?